Hi, good evening, and welcome to John Sinclair TV. Well, it's actually Harry's channel as well, Harry Scarfs, and I'm hosting a show tonight. And I've got two lads. We'll talk about Premier League football. I've got Morgan, Bournemouth fan, and Harry, Man U fan. Big up to you guys. How are we doing?
All right, mate. Not bad yourself.
Yeah, I'm fine. Not too bad. Just Harry's asked us to do this tonight, and I can't do that sort of things. I found time, so I'm supposed to have Luca coming in as well, but never mind. So, guys, like the video, like what you watch, make sure you like and subscribe. Do subscribe to Scarfy Sports Talk, and super chats are open as well. If you've got that facility and you'd like to become a member, then you know what to do. Let's go for the comments first of all. Big up to Harry. Thank you very much for letting me do this, Harry. Hi to Barney, big Fulham fan. Hope you're good. Hi to Luca as well. Hope you're all right. Big up, Harry. Excellent idea to get other fans to Horse Weekly Show. Looking forward to contributing here tonight. Big up, Barney. And even to Barney again. Right, let's going to talk about Nottingham Forest. I mean, they got a 4-point deduction, Harry, and with the PSR profitability, this is absolutely ridiculous for me. I would have scrapped it, by the way, let's be real. But they got 4 points deducted, and really, they're not very happy about it. They're thinking of appeal against it. What's your take on it, Harry? What's going on?
I mean, look, first of all, right, the whole FFP thing that the Forest have, it's very unfortunate, and and again, it's one of them things where it's like it's football. You're gonna get that sort of thing, but I've stressed this on my own like social media, and I've said that like people compare Everton and Forest's point deduction to Man City, and look, whilst I agree that Man City should get punished, Forest and Everton have only had one or two things in terms of the FFP, and I think obviously they got the points deducted. I think it was yesterday. I think that for Forest, that's a huge loss for Forest, but for Luton, that's a massive gain because now if you're up Edwards, you're thinking, you know what? Now we're a point above Forest now. If we can kick on, we can say in the league, and I think that the uproar from Forest and from the hierarchy, it is understandable, but at the same time, look, we've seen Forest sign some players like in the last 2 years. Keylor Navas, just for one, they signed like some big names like Felipe, etc., etc. And you have to ask yourself, where has that money come from, and how have they got it? Because as said on Sky Sports yesterday that they were actually going to get 6 points deducted, like Everton, but because they'd complied with the FA and whatever, they got 2 taken off. Therefore, it was 4. And again, I hear it, but I think that it's unfortunate, but I think that really you shouldn't be like doing things that are against the law because it sort of could go like one way or the other. So yeah, I think on that.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I mean, Morgan, look, Everton's going to get points deducted again as well, and Forest already had theirs. So they have to, in my opinion, they only have 6 full-time players went up to the Premier League. In the pre-season, they were short of players. They had to get loan players coming in to make the team. They have to do it. Problem is, right, they had something like 61 million quid in debt. That's all they're allowed to have. Anything over that, they get wrong for it. But Forest are confused about this. They need to be explained a bit better. I mean, do you think they're right to get points deducted? For me, I think it's harsh, but at the end of the day, they need to scrap this PSR thing.
It's very confusing. Good evening to everyone watching. Thanks for tuning in. Firstly, thanks for having me on, John and Harry. Nice to meet you, and all the viewers. Good evening. I think in terms of there's 3 things. I think football's become. We all know football is a business. It's a beautiful game as well, but it's also a business. But I do think I want to use Newcastle, if you don't mind, John, as an example.
Yeah. Yes, please.
You guys last year had a very you still got a good squad, but you have had a very you had the group of death in the Champions League. You had some very difficult fixtures in both the FA Cup and the Carabao Cup and the Premiership as well. You play Man City 4 times the season alone, which is a headache for any club. I know you beat them, I think, in the cup. One, but I want to look at your. So I have a friend that's a Newcastle fan, and I said, and he said Bruno Guimaraes might have to be sold in the summer, and I'm thinking, but he's just signed a new contract. That's mental. But then they're going to have to sell a few players because of SS to get your books back on track. It's so unfortunate for clubs. I do agree. I don't understand it all because I try not to think about it too much. But with financial fair play, of course, you don't want teams to have all this money where they can just go and buy the best squad out of everyone. But I think there's got to be a bit of common sense.
Mm-hmm.
You guys, for example, I want to use you guys again. We're a bit attached Newcastle with all the with Eddie Howe connection and stuff and Bournemouth. But I want to use your guys' situation. So you guys have had a lot of injuries in the transfer window just gone. You could have got done with getting 2 or 3 players, in my opinion. I think you could have just done with tying because you still had a lot of games and your squad's starting to get a little bit tired. And Harvey Barnes, excuse me, is picking up, and Anthony Gordon, and you still got Tonali out suspended and etc. So you guys want to go into the market, but you're not able to unless you sell Almiron. But you don't want to get rid of him because he's one of your best players.
I'll get rid of him tomorrow. To be fair. Go on.
It's an ongoing problem though, because every club is so paranoid. Or probably you've got to be so on it about what you're doing. I want to. Harry alluded to it earlier in the show. Manchester City had 100. Is it 100 breaches?
115.
Thank you very much. Where's are they going to be kicked out of the Premier League, or are they going to start getting? Because it seems unfair that they pick on the smaller side, but when it comes to I don't want to be too outspoken, but Manchester City, they're an incredible side, but I don't believe for 1 minute that they haven't broken any of the rules. Yep. I know they're being investigated, but I can't see it. You think about it. They get rid of Mara, and you're bringing in Doku, and then you're getting rid of, you got Grealish, and you got Foden, and I know Foden came through the academy, but you got Haaland, you got Almiron, you got Kovacic, you got Nathan Ake, even. You've got good quality players in every position. And I don't believe for 2 minutes, they should be, if they need to start picking on, there's no point waiting until Man City. I don't want to base this too much on a personal attack, but it winds me up. It's a bit like VAR. 1 week you got one example, the other week you got another example. It's the same with, I think it's the same with, and I think I know VAR is a different subject, but between SSP and VAR, I think the game's absolutely starting to die, and it's not going to be much longer before the game becomes an absolute joke. Even bring the blue card in, and it's like, wow, it's like sitting down the pub waiting for magic to happen, ain't it? Because it's just starting to get to the point where there's too many technicality. As fans, you want to be passionate, you want to support your lads to do good things, and we're talking about matters, in my opinion, that shouldn't be spoken about because they're not the game, they're completely irrelevant. And now we're spending the first 10-15 minutes of a show talking about something that, yes, I don't want to be naive by what I'm saying, but I want to make the point that financial fair play is important in the fact you don't want to have someone walking over the league and winning it by mid-October, but then you don't want to in the other way. It's been, now teams like Everton and Forest have had obviously deduction, and then Man City seem to still be getting away with it for now. And I don't want to sound fixated with Man City, but I don't think they're gonna until it happens, and I would be very surprised if they get punished. That's all I want to say. Sorry, I went on a bit.
No, that's fine. That's fine. I mean, look, listen. At the end of the day, Man City probably get a transfer ban. No, don't know what's going on with Man City. But I just looked at the Chronicle of Newcastle, right? I mean, I'll look at it now. But Eddie Howe, probably talk about it probably tomorrow, Thursday. But Eddie Howe has been warned that he's got left with no choice of cashing on Isak and Bruno, right? Really? And you know what it is, right? The Premier League wants that. They don't want Newcastle to be in the top 6 or break into the top 6. Yeah, right. It's unfair competition. It's corrupt. It's corrupt. Almond and Morgan. It's corrupt, right? And also as well, they got the Premier League did not want a Super League, right? I get that, but the problem is they've already got it. They've already got the Super League. Yeah, they've already got it. Do your maths. Yeah, they do not want any of the other 14 clubs upsetting the party. Yeah, that is the thing. The Premier League is corrupt. I think it's cheated. It's gone. You know what I mean? The best league in the world gets stuff. It's not the best league in the world.
I agree, John.
It's corrupt.
I agree, John. Yeah, but like as a supporter of one of the main arguably the biggest club in.
Sorry, Harry. Go on.
It's fine. Yeah. Do you know what, John? I agree because look, I support one of the biggest club in the league, and obviously, like Man United, Man City, Liverpool, Arsenal, Tottenham, and Chelsea. Right, those 6 teams. Sorry, right? Those teams, no matter how poor of a season they have, they'll always get something going their way or something not going their way. To take, for example, when we faced Man City in the derby, right? Højlund fouled Rodri in the box, penalty. It's the same thing happened back at the Emirates where Gabriel done it to Højlund. Nothing. VAR, as more mentioned before, is very inconsistent. FFP is a different kettle of fish, but where I disagree ever so slightly is because with Man City, as I mentioned before, they have got 115 charges. How many of them are FFP? I don't know. I can't confirm or deny. But let's say, hypothetically, there's about 40 charges of FFP. You think they're not going to get 0 breach? They will get at least six charges breached. If you think that 1 breach gets a 6-point deduction, if they get 6, that's nearly 36 points gone like that. And again, it's all hypothetical, but at the same time, where I sympathise with Forest and Everton really is that years before, John, is that like those are the really small clubs in the Premier League, and they're sort of getting punished and targeted rather looking at teams like Chelsea and Man City. And with Newcastle, I actually read that thing about Isak and Guimaraes, and this is and the thing that I can't stress, right, is that the Premier League, before Newcastle were bought by Saudi Arabian owners, right, they were happy of having Steve Bruce and maybe 1 or 2 names like Maximan and Joelinton. Let's hope that Everton and so that Newcastle just about stay up, because
that's what you want. That's what you want.
Is atmosphere. But you see, since you guys were bought and were in the Champions League, look, you can't convince me that UEFA did not know what they were doing drawing Newcastle with 3 of the most hardest teams in Newcastle wise. You know, I mean, look, AC Milan, PSG. All due respect, you think that PSG's attack is not going to capitalize against Newcastle? And this is my thing, right? Is that Newcastle, when they got Tonali, as or whatever for the Italian thing, that sort of killed your season in the get-go, because when you were making those signings of Gordon, Barnes, to Tonali, etc., I thought, this season Newcastle will probably retain top 4 spot again. But now that I'm seeing your season unfold, I'm starting to see the Premier League sort of try and make you that Steve Bruce team again. And in my opinion, it's wrong, because the smaller teams are getting finessed, like Bruno Mars and Cardi B. They're getting finessed because they don't want to see Everton or a Forest or a Newcastle do well in this league. And it really is like upsetting, man, because the league needs to be a lot more fairer. It needs to be, man. It needs to be just a lot more consistent and fairer to every team in the league.
Facts, absolute facts. And one fella, so I'll go for the comments. So I big up to JJ as well. And hi to JJ. Hope you're good. And everyone's hi to JJ. Now, what it is, right, or for me, right? I mean, you're right there, Harry. You're absolutely right. They don't want Newcastle break into the top 6. Everyone knows that, right? The Premier League don't want them. Yeah. This regulator thing's going to come in. It's going to be more scrutiny on our owners as well, especially. Yeah. They're not going to come out and say nothing, right? But it's anti-competition, it's corrupt, and you know what? It's cheating. Yeah, that's all it is. Yeah, they don't care about Newcastle. Yeah, we're a massive club. Yeah, and the thing is, right? They want us to sell top players. They don't want us to be a big club. They don't want us to have ambition. You just said there, Harry, as well. They're happy with Steve Bruce and Sports Direct to be in with Newcastle just to stay in the Premier League. That's what they want. That's it. Yeah. But they had no choice but to accept the takeover. They had no choice. But in my opinion, right, and I'm going to say this, Morgan, right, I think one day Newcastle will win a trophy, right? They will win a trophy. I guarantee you that, right? Will it be with Eddie Howe or someone else? We don't know. But one thing I will say, we'll win something. And one of these days, right, if you do sell Bruno or Isak, right, or both, then the Premier League has won. The Premier League has won. They want us to sell top players to the big 6. And they'd be creaming it off. Do you know what I mean? And they just laugh at us.
Yeah, 100%. I just want to come in there on a couple of points. I think the first point, if you guys have to sell Bruno and Isak, or even people like Botman, I've seen rumours for as well. That's absolutely obscene to me, because the club, it takes what we saw under Eddie Howe last year, and obviously I can connect with it. You need a squad of players. You guys have had a horrible, as I alluded to several times already, you guys have got horrible injuries. You know, Joe Linton's out for the season. Pope's going to probably just be back before the end of the season, if that. I wouldn't risk him. I don't know. I did see that you guys are jetting off to Australia after the season. I do feel a bit sorry for the lad, considering how stretched you've been in with limited training and all that. I know they're professional footballers, but it's a long season. So to go out to Australia to play a couple of friendlies with all the travelling seems a bit mad as well. But I just think the Premier League. I don't want to make too controversial comments because I don't know enough about it, but.
Yeah,
FFP seems just beyond a politic to the game that we have. You know, clubs now have got to be so careful. To buy a decent footballer now, you're looking at 20 million quid upwards. You know, you can't. There aren't many, and that's trying to be disrespectful to most players. You're looking at 20 million upwards. One Declan Rice, for example, what did he cost just last summer? 100 million quid for one pair of legs, technically. So you got to. It's gonna punish the lower team, and also you look at it. Teams like Newcastle and other teams, maybe the Villas, are they going to start trying? Do they want to just go and have their Man City, Manchester United, with all due respect, Chelsea, Liverpool, and maybe Tottenham? Is that what they want to do? Because it just feels like they're trying to push teams to spend lots, unless you're good enough. And the same with VAR decision. That PSG decision at the Prada. Was it away? John, was it away or was it at St. James's?
Away.
It was away, wasn't it? At PSG. That's massive to a club like yours. And I know you guys have got rich owners now, but it doesn't matter. It's massive. Yeah. If that went against them, they would be furious.
Yeah.
So they really have got to start to think about, at the again, because you're probably on paper the weaker side, they're doing it to we see it week in, week out, and something's got to change. I'm sorry. And then, then they're talking about bringing a blue card in, and then you could sit on the bench and then they could upgrade it to a red. Like, what else do they need to do to the game to ruin it?
I mean,
Go on.
I'll tell you what, though, Morgan. I agree because Jordan is, yeah. I looked when Newcastle were drawn with those three teams, right? I knew what had happened, right? I thought the first game that Newcastle will play, they'd win it. Didn't think it'd be a 4-1 win. I didn't think it. I'd have thought, Newcastle might actually go through in the group yet. Then we seen Tonali get suspended. Then we see injuries rock up. Then it came out in the Daily Mail weeks later, breaking news with the siren, Newcastle have got FFP issues for January. Okay, so they can't buy nobody in the 2024 winter window. That's a big L. But where I have the issue is that Newcastle are richer than Manchester City, right? This is what people don't forget. They are They are the richest club in the Premier League. Newcastle, they have more money than us, Arsenal, Chelsea, and Tottenham combined, right? And the Premier League, I can guarantee you this right now, right? Is that the Premier League will not dare give City an FFP strike until the breaches have been confirmed of what they are and what they contain. With Newcastle, they seen one thing. FFP, guys, you can't spend zilch in the window. And in the summer, like I mentioned before, the Newcastle, I don't think you'll sell both, but I think out of the two, I think Isak will leave. Where to? Knowing the Premier League and knowing what they'll do, they will want Isak staying in the league. Where he goes, respectfully, I see him going to Chelsea. Because at Chelsea,
I was going to agree.
The thing is, Chelsea have the money, right? They will pay Newcastle, respectfully, 75 million. They will do it because of
75 million? It cost us 63 mil.
Well, I look, right, with Chelsea, the way they move, it might be 140, the way they move. But at the same time, is that Newcastle will get 140, but again, they forget that the tax involved, you're looking at about 90 million because the Premier League love to tax the smaller clubs. Now, my final point on FFP is that when we look at the league as a whole, right, I have been blessed enough, and obviously, you know what, John's seen more than what I've seen, but I've been blessed to see my club and the Premier League being in an era where money wasn't really a thing. Like the highest transfer in 2013 in the Premier League, I think, was Eden Hazard, something like that. And I was like 25 million. Now this summer, I think it was 100 million for Enzo Fernandez. It was 100 here, 100 there. And again, notice the clubs that spend that money. It's a big six. You'll never see Aston Villa buying Osimhen for 90 million. You'll never see it. Newcastle, whilst they can afford it, they will never sign Gula from Madrid for 100 million. Why? Because FFP strike. And with Forest now and Everton, who are apparently going to get a second deduction, if I'm Sean Dyche and I'm thinking, right, okay, so we've had two breaches, okay, we got deducted, but why are you focusing on the bigger picture? Man City have got 115 charges, and we're getting with that too. It's honestly, it's just an absolute monstrosity. It's an absolute disgrace.
I hear you, Harry. I hear you. Big up to everyone in the chat as well. Hi to Lorraine as well. And I hope you're okay, fellow Newcastle fan. Luca, big up to Luca. How are we doing, man?
Sorry, man. I was getting home from all that stuff and I was a bit late, so I do apologise and all that stuff. I'm here now, so it's all good.
Good stuff. We're just talking about FFP. I mean, obviously, Foz got fined got the points as well. What's your tug on the FFP and what is going on? Does it need to be scrapped now? Does PSR need to be scrapped? Because at the end of the day, they're turning the Premier League into a Super League. Yeah. At 14 other clubs, we can't spend anything. Do you know what I mean? They are absolutely punishing clubs like ourselves, Villa, West Ham, right? We can't spend anything.
For me, in my opinion, with this whole FFP situation, I think it's a complete disaster and a joke because you look, for example, right? Arsenal were chasing for a striker in the January transfer window, and we were linked with people like Ivan Toney and all them lot, and we couldn't get any players because to get a player of that caliber, for example, if you want a player what you want in your squad, with this FFP situation, FFP that was never around a few years ago. And I can understand, yes, you look at Newcastle, you guys got rid of Mike Ashley, and now you've got a new owner. Why does it have an issue with FFP? Because if we didn't have all this FFP situation, everybody will be buying every single player. So for me, I look at it and I just think it's a complete joke because why are we told that we have to be spent at like a certain limit? It's like, for example, right? Someone gives me money, resistance, and I say, for example, I've got £50 to spend, right? And what if I want to go over the top? Like, what's the difference? It's like this whole FFP situation is a completely joke. It isn't fair. It's ruining the Premier League because all these situations about this Super League situation. Personally, do I think the Super League will happen? I don't see it happening now, but probably not for a very, very long time. Maybe in the next 5 or 6 years. But right now, I can't see it happening. But for me, I just think it's a complete joke. Because, John, you look, for example, Newcastle. Isaac has been linked to Arsenal in the summer.
And
right?
Chelsea.
And Chelsea. Why on earth do you have to consider you guys getting rid of your best main man to now go and consider of getting players? It's like with Arsenal. We're linked with this Sporting Lisbon striker, right, for 85 million. And I've never really seen him play. And for me, we now have to end up considering this. And we're going to be selling players in the summer. We're going to have people like Ramsdale, ESR, Eddie Nketiah, all that possibly maybe Jesus might leave, right, to go and get a big fun on a big striker. I don't understand this situation. I just think it's an absolute joke, this whole FFP situation.
I totally
agree,
Luca. Go for
I was just going to say, I really agree with what you're saying there, Luke.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just wanted to say, Luca, I really agree with what you're saying. It's kind of what we've been reiterating throughout the show, really. It doesn't make any sense. I think we established that within the 28 minutes we've been on air. The other point I wanted, it's kind of off topic slightly, but it's a bit like we got the European Championships in the summer. I'm going to have to reteach myself of the rules because I don't know the rules because the handball in that competition is different to our league, the Premier League. You know, what you get a penalty for in Europe and because of FIFA and whatever, you don't get in the Premier League. It's completely different. So, the handball that we saw, we'll go back to at the PSG, will be given, whereas the one at in the Premier League, that won't be given. So looking forward to the England. I'm not overly pleased about having no football but it's better than none. You're gonna have to reteach yourself of the rules again, and it's like it's all these confusing factors that makes it. Sometimes you think, why do I bother? And that sounds a bit naive, maybe, but what it's going to be the rules in the Premier League and in Champions League, World Cup, they're completely different. So it's like I need to now reteach after the season concludes. I need to now go on the internet and try and research to try and get an understanding. And I think I know they're two irrelevant things, but between financial fair play and VAR, none of it. 1 minute it's okay, and then the other minute it's not okay. City seem to get away with it, but then Forest and Everton don't. But then there's a penalty at it's like the FA Cup. They have.
Sorry to interrupt, right? But you know why Man City get away with it? Money talks. That's the situation because they have lawyers and all them lot behind them, and they see Man City as a bigger club. People got to remember, we are a bigger club than Man City. Yes, history-wise, Man City have got the better pecking order with trophy, but Man City, for me, were properly invented in 2008. Never mind the years before that, because the owners came in that football club, and they had people like Robinho and all them lot back in the day. And ever since Man City got all the big stars, that's how they've actually become. And that's why I think one of the reasons, right, that they will get away with this 115 breach charges. Because if they had those charges, then the Premier League title would be handed to us. For me, I wouldn't celebrate it because it's not actually happened in real life. So, of course, what they should do is just deduct Man City some points and let them have their league title. Because for me, there's no point giving the trophy to Arsenal, because for me, it's not actually happened in real life. It doesn't have that atmosphere. It doesn't have that feeling and emotion. So for me, it should just deduct Man City points. If they don't want to chuck Man City out of Division 2 or League 2, whatever they call it these days, right? Then for me, deduct Man City about 20 points and everything will be all good. It's pretty simple, but they're not going to do that because they don't care about these clubs like Nottingham Forest and that. And why is it, right, this whole breach situation, right? Why do they have an agenda against people like Nottingham Forest? And Luton Town might potentially stay up, but why do they not do it to a Man City? You know why? Money talks.
Big Six, mate. They don't want to upset the Big Six, Luca. It's as simple as that. Had I been Newcastle being charged 115 charges, they would throw the book at us. They would have got us down to League 2.
May not be in the top 6 now, but Newcastle for me have been in the top 6 because you've got owners.
Yeah.
Newcastle.
We can't spend the money though.
Yeah.
Can't spend the money. And that's why there's going to be very little transfer dealings in the summer as well. Look how much we spent, close to $1 billion last January, right? And now we really spent what? 10 for that, about 80 mil, 90 mil. The Premier League don't care. They don't care at all. They don't want to set the Big Six. I've always said that. Let's go for the comments. Big up the people in the chat. I believe every club should have capped amount to spend. For example, if you have 250 mil, if a club has a great, if not tough, get someone to a fest. Big up to my new mod, Mama Flossie. Hi to you. I hope you're well. And it boils down to protect the top 6. The Premier League is no longer competition. I agree with clubs not to be able to spend unlimited cash, and that's not fair. But neither is not allowed to spend fats, Lewin, fats. And you know what it is, right? I mean, I'm not going to lie, right? I think now the Premier League wants to sell top players to Man City, Bruno Guimaraes to Man City, around Madrid, probably Isak to Arsenal, Chelsea. You know what I mean? They want us to have a squad that it was like in Mike Ashley's years under Steve Bruce, yeah? We need to get rid of players like Sean Longstaff, Dan Burn, Miguel Miron, Jacob Murphy to a degree, yeah? Matt Tognis, other players to get rid of before we should go on for Bruno. Why should we be punished, Morgan? Why should we be punished for selling top players?
I think
this is what the Premier League wants.
I think that I don't know. It's a very. I think no one should be punished. If I'm honest with you, they should either punish everyone they should punish everyone, or they shouldn't punish anyone at all. I think it's really confusing that they're trying to. It's obscene that we have to kind of it's just mental in a way that you have to try and have these conversations, because it doesn't need to happen, and just play the game and forget VAR, forget financial fair play. You guys having to lose Isak for the Premier League to be satisfied, it's absolutely, I've got no word, because it's just unbelievable. Or it's hard to answer the question, because it's so annoying in all the factors. As fans, we just want to go and watch a game of, fans have already got to work around the Premier League. This isn't a dig at the Premier League, but it kind of is. You got to go to games. Newcastle, for example, had some horrible kickoff times, not thinking about the fans at all. I had to sit on a coach and go to Middlesbrough at 3 o'clock in the morning. All right, no one forced me, but I wanted to go and watch it. Oh, why was that? Oh, it was on Sky. So fans have got that. Fans pay their money to go and watch it. And then you've got to potentially lose your best assets, which they are as players, to just to make someone happy. And I don't want to say much more about it because it winds me up. And then you got some referee who got all these cameras watching 20 million clips.
Sorry.
And at halfway at an airport, near an airport, and 1 week it's okay and 1 week it isn't, and one competition they use it at one competition but they won't use it in another. It's ruining the game. It's killing football. Just go back to basics. Free official. If they miss it, that thing with a flag drives everyone balmy. If it's offside, it's offside. Why do we need to wait about an hour?
Yeah, can I jump in a second, Morgan? Because a really good comment there from the rain about homegrown talent like Longstaff, right? I'm going to tell you the only two clubs who can have a bunch of youth players and still be consistent and finish high in the league. Liverpool and Man United, right? How many times have we seen over the other years a player come out from LXA and Carrington, right? Just name a few. Prime example, Kobe Mainu this season just got into the England squad. He's been unreal this season. Conor Bradley is in the Northern Ireland squad. Kwanzaa, Garnacho, all these players are young youth players that have been in the academy. But with teams like Newcastle and Aston Villa to an extent, they can't be relying on homegrown talent, because where I sympathise with Villa and Newcastle in particular is that I know sooner or later Ollie Watkins, Buendia, Diaby, they're all going to go. Big things are going to come knocking. Give it 2 seasons, the Diaby's off to playing for Arsenal as a backup winger. If it's 3 years, you can have Watkins playing for Tottenham, right? Newcastle, Isak to Chelsea. Anthony Gordon will probably go to La Liga and Atletico. Why? Because I disagree in an extent of you, John, that why Newcastle will never be like Steve Bruce team ever again, because the difference is now is that I see Newcastle no matter who you sell, who you buy, what happens FFP wise, you will be a Europa League or a Conference League side. That's it. But you see the Premier League, right? I'm gonna call it right now. Aston Villa ain't getting top 4. Why? Why? No. Because they'll screw them. The Premier League will have, unfortunately, they'll have United or Tottenham getting that top 4 slot and have other Spurs in 5th another spot, because they do not want to see another Newcastle season. Because I'll be so real. I'd rather a game at Villa Park, Villa versus Barcelona and the UCL, over Tottenham versus Juventus, because it's a fresh air. It's like a breath of fresh air, opening your window, fresh air. I've seen Tottenham in the UCL. I've seen Arsenal in the UCL. I've seen City, whatever, right? These teams, like Villa and Newcastle, who are getting their way up, right? They'll get knocked down 4 or 5 pegs like that, because the Premier League, what they lack is consistency. And I know this is going to got a lot of topics, but I think that when you look at the teams in this league from 7th all the way down to the bottom barrel of the league, right? I can tell you 3 teams right now that will never get relegated. Crystal Palace, that's one. Number two, I think right now, the way they are, I don't think Bournemouth are ever going to go down because the way they are right now. Recently, the Premier League have been giving Bournemouth ballers. But in the summer, Justin Cliver, unreal baller. Senesi, Neto, right? You look at Everton. One name their back four, apart from Ramthwaite. Bro, Mikolenko, Championship left back at best. Seamus Coleman's still employed in 2024. Yeah, no, I'm not lying there, right? Because the difference is, right, Crystal Palace, Eze, Elise, Edward, Ballers, those sorts of teams will be around 14th, 15th place. But you see, like Forest, Everton, Wolves, etc., they'll all get finesse because the league do not want them to succeed. I'll call it right now on last point, right? Pedro Neto will not be at Wolves for another year and a half. Why? Because it'll be a £45 million move to the Tottenham Hotspurs Stadium, where he'll play unreal at Tottenham, and Wolves will be finishing 12th and 13th. It's corrupt and it's rigged. Honestly, it's so rigged.
Yeah. Fact, though. I'll go for the comments as well because I'm overloading, mostly for Lorraine. I've seen a lot of comments today saying Newcastle needs homegrown talents like Longstaff. Why do we, if they're not performing? Get rid. Fact. He's linked to Leeds United. I'd drive in there. Tesla told me one picking up, and I'd take it there, Sean. Simple as that. I'm not going to lie. And that's just saying how it is. Yeah, we need proper players. We need to keep players like Isak, Bruno, and Botman. But the problem is, the Premier League don't want to have a top club. Simple as that. The top six will always be protected. How can clubs like my own club, Fulham fan, even hope to truly compete where we have to walk such a tightrope and keep the Premier League satisfied and avoid points, penalties? Barney, you are absolutely on the money. It is simple. I'm going to put a star comment on that one as well. You're absolutely right. The Premier League, they won't listen to you. And even the government's getting too involved now. You don't put government into sport. Never. I said a million times, our young Mags played a hard start on Saturday, yet first team players don't need to fight for the players as they know they're the first team on the team sheet, regardless of performance. And this just sums it up. I'm not a United fan, but oh my word, they fought until the last second and deserves their semi-final place. You talk about United, whether the Newcastle fight, there was none. Facts are in. And you know what it is, right? I'm not being funny. Coventry Shore fight, gone through.
Yeah.
Leicester Shore fight, gone through. Sorry. Big fight gone through, right? Luca, do you think I'm right? I mean, I went to the ad on Saturday, right? Yeah. And you know what? We were absolutely shite. Now I don't care what anyone said.
I watched your vlog. I watched your vlog on the weekend, and for me, you guys were poor. For me, I was in the Alan Shearer bar on the weekend, and for me, I was up Newcastle all weekend, and for me, right, you guys were poor, right, all over from scratch. And for me, not gonna lie, I do think you probably did deserve maybe a goal out of that game, especially that.
I should have scored. Go on.
But for me, you guys were very poor. You guys never turned up against Manchester City. And I look at Newcastle right now. Your players, you need to get rid of these deadwood players. As you just mentioned, Longstaff's been linked to Leeds United.
Thank you.
So for me, you need to get rid of some of the deadwood because.
Just to interject there, why Smiley not starting? I think he's so intelligent.
He's a bowler. He's brilliant.
See, look here, right? I question, right, and I'm sure John echoes this every single day, right? Dan Burn is the most oddest position I've ever seen because you are playing what is it, like a 6'6" centre back, a left back, right? Folks, I'm not lying here. We've seen Dan Burn face Kylian Mbappe in the Champions League, and no, not a centre and a half at left back. Because the thing is, right, Newcastle do not have a good left back. I don't want to hear this Livramento at the opposite stuff, right? Livramento is a right back, so is Trippier. Matt Target, bro, this guy was washed after Aston Villa. He should be in the EFL. But and again, Eddie Howe has been crying out for a left back for nearly 2 years. Hasn't signed one. Right backs, oh, you're fine. Right, but you got Manchester, you got Trippier, yada yada yada. Left back, no, nothing. And the thing that gets me frustrated is that I think the England squad a couple of days ago, right? And shout out to my boy Manu, but I think that squad, and I thought to myself that this league is called the best in the world, right? We've all used that phrase.
No, it's not. No, it's not. It's
right?
not. It's not.
I'll tell you for absolutely free. You might as well make it a 6-team league. You might as well.
Thank you.
Actually, no. You might as well add Villa and Newcastle. Make it an 8-team league. Rest of years, poof, off you go. Because the thing is, when it comes to the nitty gritty, we are never going to see a Leicester City season ever again. I don't care if you're Aston Villa, if you're Newcastle, if you're Swansea or Bournemouth. We are never going to see that season again. Why? Why? Because one, FFP, that rule was only just coming in. It was brand new and it wasn't proper yet. Leicester won the league not because of luck, but because of consistency and the league not ringing them, right?
And just to you what you're saying, but on just to say what it kind of summarizes your point. You know, Leicester City won the league, remarkable, the best thing that ever happened probably in a very long time. But then you got Morris gone to Manchester City, James Maddison, he's obviously gone to Tottenham Hotspur now. All these teams that have got good players, I reckon it takes 2 or 3 seasons to build a squad. You know, for example, you look at one like Liverpool, when they lost Mane, it took a while for them to recalibrate. When they lost their Firmino, Fabinho, that team, Gomez, when he got injured, it takes seasons to rebuild things. You look at Newcastle, we'll come back to it. I don't want to base it too much, but you look at your team, Pope in goal, back four, Dan Burn, Fabian Schär, Botman, Trips, Bruno Guimaraes, Joe Linton, Almiron, Gordon, and then Isak through the middle. I think that maybe what I might be missing one. You look at that,
yeah.
and then you interrupt it by having either injury, suspension, or a bit of both, and then you bring the FSP into the middle of it. And then you got to try and now get rid of Bruno Guimaraes, who's one of the best centre midfielders in our league, because the Premier League don't like it. Or you got to get rid of Isak, that is world class. Can I just say he's a top striker? And then you got to get rid of him because someone's not happy with it. It doesn't make sense. It's like trying to make rules so the big side lose their best player. You know, Bournemouth, I'll be the first to say it, our main man is Dominic Solanke. We lose Dominic Solanke this summer for 100 million, you know, or whatever it may be. Bournemouth are going to be, because he's our star. Without him, we don't win many games. So, you know, and it could be the same. You know, we take someone like I don't want to keep saying too much because we've been speaking about it for most of the show, but it's so frustrating, you know, in every single side up and down the country, unless you've got replaceable, you know, in Man City don't play Haaland. He's just apparently been injured on international duty or whatever. I don't know how soon. They play Avara or they play Foden through the middle. You know, it doesn't bother them as much. But then you look at it, if Bournemouth lose Solanke, we got Unal that's just about okay, but it's a concern. So it's unfair, it sucks, it's disappointing, and quite frankly, I think they need to change it before it really starts to make teams speak. And also, just to make a final point, and then I'll be quiet because I am going on a bit of a ramble. But I think it's important to get this in. Every place you finish in the Premiership is very important because obviously the more the higher up you finish, you get more money. And obviously, if they want people to stay above right and in the right way with the books, and if they're trying to get rid of if the players have got to go to make that criteria, then teams are obviously going to drop off and not have as much money to spend. They could be finishing lower, so then they're still in a bad situation because they're not going to be able. They're not getting the revenue and custom in terms of the money either, so they can't win sometimes.
Yeah. But let's go on to comments as well before you show the league tables. The issue with Miley is bone development. If he gets an injury, it could put an end to his career before he even started. He's limited to how many minutes he's allowed to play, sadly. I wanted to play, I always see him play on Saturday week. We don't need to get rid of one main player. We have lots of dead wood we can sell, but Eddie put settlement first. Lorraine, it needs to stop in the summer. Lucas, right? I mean, for me, I'll go through the names, Luca, before we go on to the next subject, because you go through the tables as well. All right. You said earlier about getting rid of the deadwood, yeah? I mean, who would you sell? I mean, who would you sell?
What, for Newcastle?
Yeah, or would you get rid of? There's quite a lot there.
Well, for me, if I can get the Newcastle squad up, I'd have to try and remember it from the top of my head. But I think Newcastle, for me, I think you need to get rid of. I think potentially maybe get rid of Longstaff.
Yeah.
I think for me, he's not good enough anymore. I think you need to get rid of Karius.
He's going to Italy in the summer.
Yeah, he is. Potentially maybe Joe Willock.
Really?
Yeah, I do.
Ooh, that's
No.
wow.
I can chip in with a couple more if you want, John, if it helps.
Yeah. Lauren's joining as well.
Just because obviously I follow Newcastle quite closely as well. I don't support them obviously, but because of the Eddie connection, I do like to keep an eye. I would say you've got to get rid of Callum Wilson. I think his time's done. I think he's been great, but I think he's had a lot of ACL injury. He's had 2 at Bournemouth. He's come back, and every time he managed to get a lot of injuries. Every time you guys have got Isak fit, and then you've got Callum fit, and then they started one game together all season. I think Dan Burn, personally, I think you've got to get rid. I think he's not good enough. I've seen him. I liked him. I really liked his passion. I know he's a local lad, but I think I'm 6'6", and he's makes me look good at football. And I can assure you, I'm not very good at football. So that's the concern. So you've got to get rid of him. I think you need a competition. I think Timo Morento is very good, but I think you need another experienced right back because Kieran Trippier is starting to. Trippier is 32, 33 years of age, and to play the demand of Eddie Howe. You make a good point, John. Eddie Howe's sentiment, I can assure you, will not change. He will do what he wants, and that is the way Eddie is. He doesn't change things very often. He will pick his first 11. I remember Sylvain Distin and Jermaine Defoe tried to tell him to change something in training at Bournemouth. He wasn't having any of it. I can't repeat on air what he said. I don't know directly, but I can't believe. I don't think it would have been very polite to put it that way. I think Eddie, he's a nice guy. I think he speaks really well in the media, but I think he's so he's got his coaching staff that he's always had: JT, Stephen Purchase, Simon Webston, Dan Hodges, his uncle Andy. I think it's one of the staff as well. He doesn't change things very often. He will keep doing things and the way. Also, the finish with Eddie, because he demands so much, and I know a lot of managers do. I know every team has it from time to time. He gets so many injuries because he makes them perform to the maximum. In this day and age, you play, like an average season, if you're top side, you play 60 or 70 games. That's a lot for a human being. People say to me, oh, they get paid all this money. Nah, it's not about that anymore. They do community work. They do all the stuff in the community. They have travel. They have, you don't just play a game of football anymore and get to go home the next day and recover. You're in for an ice bath. It's ridiculous. We got David Brooks on loan at Southampton, and he finished playing on Sky for Southampton, got his first goal. What are you up to tomorrow? Is it a day off? No, I'll be down back to the training ground for an ice bath. So he's had to recruit 80 minutes just to have an ice bath when he could probably do that back down on the south coast in Bournemouth. But it's such a different game now. And then you got, your flying, you got the your media training, you got the gym work. It's not. I think it's a lot more than what people see. And unless you're in and around it every day, I think a lot of people don't understand the effort that goes into it. But I think Eddie really got a. He's done this at Bournemouth. He's still a top manager. I don't think I've seen Newcastle fans saying get rid, we can't have him anymore. No, that's doing a Watford. You don't want to go down that route. I think you give until next season and then rearrange the situation, because I think last season you overachieved too soon.
Yeah.
I think you're a good side, but you overachieved, and I think that's the important thing to remember. And you got, and I'm a Bournemouth fan. Let me put that. And I looked at, and your fixtures this season have been relentless. You got to penalties against Chelsea. You could have won that game. You played Man City 4 times. That's a hell of a task. You've beaten them once. You played your Premier League games. There was a month that you guys couldn't physically train because you didn't have enough time in between games, every 2 or 3 games. You guys have got to remember, and I hope the people above Newcastle United, your owner, and all the people that make the important decision, give him a bit of time. Eddie has got to learn a few lessons, I think, next season. He's got to be a bit more decisive, but he's a good manager, and he wouldn't have brought AFC Bournemouth from nowhere to the Premier League if he wasn't a top bloke. So people have got to remember that. And it's so important. And in terms of your, but yeah, Callum Wilson's got to go because I think he's just getting old. You got that. Every team has it every season, but FFP will dictate what financially and what does happen, unfortunately. And that's the end of that comment.
Well, the thing is, I love Eddie Howe as well. I think he's a top manager, but he has to be. He's going to have to be ruthless in the summer, because if he's not ruthless in the summer,
the thing is about that. Sorry to interrupt, but the thing is about Eddie Howe, I don't know why Newcastle's fan base want Eddie Howe out, right?
I don't get it.
People got to remember, right? He got this Newcastle team into the Champions League for the first time in like 20 odd years, right? And he's created a very good team, and he plays very good attacking style of play. People got to remember, England fans wanted Eddie Howe for the England job, and he's a better manager than Gareth Southgate, because for me,
I think anyone's a better manager than Gareth Southgate, to be honest with you, Luca. Just to add that in, no disrespect.
Whoever how many people are watching in this stream are better than Gareth Southgate. But for me, I look at Eddie Howe. Look, yes, maybe there is certain ways he does need to improve. Maybe he does need to improve. Maybe change the kind of style of his formation. But he has a very, very good team, and he got Newcastle into the top 4. Yes, Newcastle didn't get through to the group stage, and it's always going to be difficult, right? Especially when you've got ownership and all that stuff. But you guys are going to be going again. And I think for me, getting rid of Isaac is a massive mistake, especially what you touched on about the FFP situation. I just look at it's not fair for all these FFP things, because why is it that Man City, if City got rid of Haaland and Real Madrid came in for Haaland and had Haaland and Mbappe up top, then for me, Man City won the league without Haaland in the past. So if, say for example, if Haaland was injured right now, right, and he's going to play against Arsenal anyway, right, say if he wasn't available for that game, City have still got quality. They've got Phil Foden, who could play up front. They've got Alves, who was unbelievable in the World Cup, right, for Argentina. You've got him up front. You've got Bernardo Silva. You've got Jack Grealish. City don't need Haaland to go on and win the league. They proved it in the last couple of years before they won it 3 years on the trot without Erling Haaland. So you look at Newcastle. Yes, injuries. What's let them down this season is injuries. They've had 16 injuries all season. And for me, that is a lot of players. That's over your first team 11, right? Yeah. And Gibraltar, for me, I don't think he's not good enough for Newcastle. I think
who's that? Who's not good enough? Sorry,
Gibraltar for Newcastle. I think I think he's poor, because I think Newcastle don't have another proper number 2. Karras is going to Italy. He's past his best, right? He was never good at Liverpool. He was only brought into as a backup. Perfect goalkeeper for Newcastle is Ramsdale from Arsenal. And I think obviously I don't want Ramsdale to leave, but if he's going, then fair enough. But he is a perfect goalkeeper as a backup to Nick Pope, because Ramsdale's only played like 3 games for England in the senior team. So in Newcastle's position, in 10th place last season, when we played Newcastle and drew 0-0 at the Emirates, people were talking about Newcastle as the best defensive in the league, and they were at the time. And now people talk about have Arsenal got the best defensive in the league with William Saliba and Gabriel. So far, they have, because we're top of the league at the moment. So Newcastle, for me, if they finish in 10th or 29, I was wrong, but 10th place for Newcastle, it's not acceptable for a big club like Newcastle.
I agree.
Newcastle, for me, should be challenging top 6. Their squad is better than Man United's. I don't care what anyone says, right? If people believe and say that United have got a better squad than Newcastle, for me, have a better squad and should be in a much better position than Man United.
I think, Luca, I think that I think it again. The table is on the screen there for to see. And you know what it is. I'm going to touch on big teams for a bit here, because I feel that Newcastle are a 10th, right? They're 10th.
That's where we are in a minute. But if we lose on Saturday against West Ham, so goals against us, and we could be down as first 12th.
So again, Newcastle have had 2 wins, 2 losses, 1 defeat, right? Some are thinking that's alarm bells. What I think it is that when we look at this table, right, out of the, let's say, from us in 6th all the way down to Newcastle in 10th, right? You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 teams fighting for 6th and 7th, right? Newcastle, I can guarantee, if they pick up form, will get Conference League. Now, and that might be a massive downgrade for Newcastle, but considering the season that you've had, considering the injuries and losing to Tonali as well, getting the Conference League spot really it isn't that bad, because look, let's keep it real, right? Newcastle have got a very good chance, like Aston Villa, to get in the Conference League, to go far and maybe win the competition if they get there. But where my concern comes in, right, is that you see teams like let's take Wolves for example, right? Yeah. They're above you in a league on a point. They are in better form than Newcastle, I'm sure John can agree. But Wolves don't have the same crop of players that Newcastle have. If you put Isak in a Wolves team, Wolves get 6th or 5th. Isak, with all due respect to Wolves fans, he would carry them on his back.
With the players, what they've got, like Pedro Neto and that.
Yeah. And I think that, again, as I said before, very good shout there, because what it is, with Wolves in very particular, right? Wolves, in my opinion, are overachieving this season, because Gary O'Neill was not touted to get a top half finish. Let's be real. We all here thought Wolves about 13th, 14th. They are 9th, only 6 points behind Man United, right? Yeah. 6 points behind us, right? They've got an easy set of fixtures coming up. They're beating Tottenham away, I think. Beating Chelsea, but both home and away. Gave a good game to Arsenal. We beat them home and away, but only just, right? Then you've got the teams, like I'd say, from Bournemouth down to 18th and so forth, right? I can confirm, like with chest, that Chelsea, Fulham, Bournemouth and Palace are safe, right? The 29 points that Palace have, or the win games, or a lot of them, and I'll be fine. You look at Brentford, Everton, Luton, Forest, because Sheffield and Burnley, they're gone. They are out, right? So you look at the teams from 15th to 18th, right? I can guarantee that like Everton, when they get their points deduction of another 4, whatever it is, I think that Brentford and Palace will be safe, and 18th will come between Everton, Luton, and Forest. Whoever gets 16th and 17th, they will not win it comfortably. It'll be just about, because Everton, I checked their fixtures the other day, they've got a tough run. Luton Town, again, a tough run. Brentford, we faced them in the next week, and they could, by no means, they could not beat us. On paper, you think, oh, United, they're going to win anyway. But last season, we got slapped 4-0 at that ground. So, obviously, those type of games where you think, Brentford are going to lose. Yeah. It's not as simple as that, because you have teams, right? From, again, as before, Bournemouth being 13th is a myth, because they play some phenomenal football. I watched back, but Bournemouth versus us at Old Trafford, right? And out of every team we faced in the league at home, they were the best attacking side we faced at home, because the way that they had Semenyo, Kluivert, Solanke, and the Colombian guy, Sinisterra. Yeah. All linking up. Man City didn't do that. Liverpool didn't do that. Spurs, Chelsea, so forth, so forth. Bournemouth should be where West Ham are. And West Ham should be where Bournemouth are, because it's a bit of a spot.
I think I hear you, Harry. I think I hear you, mate. I know exactly what you mean. We're going to have to wrap this up very quickly, yeah? So we go for this comment. We ran it close to Old Trafford. We should have run more comfortably, exactly, when Fulham beat United by 2-1. We're going to go around, yeah? We're going to have to quick on this, yeah? Because we're going to wrap up the show. I did say that's going to be an hour. I'll start with you, Luca. Who's the team's going to get relegated in the bottom?
For me, West Sheffield United have gone already. But Burnley, for me, people were talking about Burnley are already gone, but they're only 5 points behind, which is crazy. I know Nottingham Forest, for me, had that 4-point deduction yesterday, and I think Luton are gone. To be honest, I think Luton, because they're not consistent enough. And Luton, for me, if they don't stay up for getting away with this twice, then I'm sorry, but they really deserve to go down. I think Forest stay up because of the experience they've been in the Premier League longer than Luton. And I just don't think Luton, for me, just don't have... Like, Luton Town are just one of those teams where they can score goals. Because people were talking about at the start of the season, Luton really struggled to score goals. They're very inexperienced. They've come from a championship team. Players who have played in League One and the Championship. And Luton, for me, like when we played Luton at Kenilworth Road, Luton beat Newcastle this season, right? And I look at Luton, right? Luton's got a draw at Newcastle as well. And you were at that game, and Newcastle failed to beat Luton this season. And
yeah, you should have lost it at home.
Yeah, you should have done. I remember watching that game. But Luton, for me, I've got Arsenal next in the league, and it's at the Emirates, and I expect us to batter Luton, But for me, Luton have to rely on teams like Nottingham Forest and Burnley to lose. And this is why I look at Luton right now. They're one of those teams where they'll just score goals for fun. And people are like, oh, they might actually win. But what's let them down is the defence. They always seem to throw leads away. And Luton have got to cut that out. Yes, they've picked up points against like the likes of Palace, right? They've picked up draws like that, and they've got to beat teams around them. But I think Luton have played like near enough every single, like Nottingham Forest. Everyone backed Luton Town to beat Forest. But Luton, for me, you can't be drawn against Nottingham Forest. You can't be doing that. And then we find out yesterday's news that Luton Town, right, now have Nottingham Forest have 4 points deduction and now 1 point clear. So Luton, for me, have to start winning games. And there's 10 games to go or 9 games to go. Luton need to win at least 3 matches to stay up. Because if I don't know what they've got Tottenham away. I don't see them getting anything out of that. Arsenal, I don't see them getting out of it. Bournemouth's the possibility they might get something out of that. Then they've got to go to Manchester City. So
good luck with that.
Luton, for me, right now, they need to beat the teams around them. So Luton, for me, have got to start producing and picking up points. Because right now it's crunch time. 9-10 games to go. It's crucial. I think for me, if Luton don't get anything out of Bournemouth, I think they're gone. I really do. And I'm backing Luton to get relegated with Burnley and Sheffield United. I want Luton to stay up because I think they were very entertaining this season. And I don't have a problem with Luton. But Luton, for me, I think they're going to go down. I think Forest are just going to have enough quality to stay up.
I agree, Luca. I totally agree. And that's where we're going to end it there, guys. And just my first time on Harry's channel. And, look at Lloyd say bye. So
Can I quickly say my last trip? Can I just say my bottom 3 very quickly?
Yeah,
I'll just say the names. I won't go on. So mine would be, I'm going to go, I don't want to say it, but I'm going to go Luton because from being 3-0 up at half time to wiping Bournemouth off the floor to then losing 4-3, it's just so poor at this stage of the season. So that I like Luton, they're a great side. I'm also going to go with Burnley and Sheffield United, but I'm going to keep it very brief because I know we're wrapping up now.
Sure stuff. And I'll go with you as well, Morgan. That's the defeat's going to be finishing the bottom 3. I just don't think Luton's got the quality in defence. They score goals, but the defence is shocking. When they went 3 up against Bournemouth and they lost the game, my God, to me, that tells us everything they need to know. It's as simple as that. So, yeah, and last comment as well, Tel Coco, do subscribe to John Sinclair TV if you are new to this channel. So, there you go. That's it. Type it in and you have subscribed. And like we wrap up the show there, before we do that, we're going to start with Harry as well. Are you on YouTube at all?
No, but I'm on TikTok.
Yeah.
With this here, hi Richard, MFC on TikTok. Go give it a follow.
Fantastic stuff. Who can find you, Morgan, on your socials, man? And YouTube.
So I'm not on my own YouTube, but I represent from time to time Back of the Net. So it's at AFCB Podcast on YouTube. We have lots of Premier League content featuring the Cherry, but there's also Premier League content. When we go to Premier League Grand, we do a Away Day Experience show. We're just there's one coming up about for the last few that we've been to away, and there's also a second look where we talk about your club, and then after each game, there's a fan reaction video straight up within a 45-minute period straight up. So that's a lot. And that's all about AFCB podcast on all social medias, including TikTok, Facebook, X, Twitter, as it's formerly known, and also on YouTube mainly as well, and on Audio Pod as well. So plenty of content available.
Fantastic stuff. Thank you very much for that. And finally, but not least, Luca.
Yeah, just subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you guys haven't gone and subscribed to our channel, I do YouTube channel. It's called Luca AFC. Make sure you do go and have a look around. I did put out a video about 4 hours ago.
Yeah.
So if you want to go and view that video and smash a like, feel free to subscribe to the channel. And if you've got Luca AFC, and we're on the road to 7K. But thank you very much, Harry Scarf, John, everyone else, for inviting me on the channel, and it's been brilliant.
Fantastic stuff. Also as well, if you're new to the channel, like you watch, please do subscribe to Scarvy Spurs Talk. That's his channel there. But also subscribe to John Sinclair TV, guys, if you're new to the channel and you like what you see. And it's just going to be this Tuesday show. I should be here every single Tuesday. Well, not every single Tuesday, but I do my best to come on Tuesdays. It might be next week. It might be the week after. But guys, keep your eyes peeled for that. And Harry's going to sort us out. So, guys, if you like the video, like what you watch, make sure you like and subscribe. Thank you very much, guys, for joining in the chat as well. And have a good evening, guys. And as always, enjoy your day.
Take care, guys. Bye.
Cheers.
Thank you all very much for watching. Big up. Thank you very much. Big up to John for hosting and all the guests. As always, up the Spurs, and thank you very much for watching.